RCR makes another change to Kyle Busch's pit crew, drivers break in that all-new North Wilkesboro Speedway surface, and Connor Zilisch continues to fill out his 2024 NASCAR schedule. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Happy Friday. Let's wrap this week up with a few final stories before we pack things up and head to Bristol. Earlier today, I caught the tail end of the Mazda MX-5 Cup race at Sebring. They streamed them live on YouTube. Get this, another Trackhouse driver was involved in a thrilling photo finish. Unfortunately, this time he came out on the wrong end of it. 17-year-old Connor Zilisch was 3/1000ths of a second short of winning this afternoon. But hey, Trackhouse is going to get him in the lab. They're going to show him what he did wrong, and Connor is ready to listen. There's a lot he can learn from his veteran teammate Daniel Suarez. Connor Zilisch was in the NASCAR news cycle this morning. Today he announced he'll be making his Craftsman Truck Series debut at Circuit of the Americas next week with Spire Motorsports. He'll also drive a Spire truck at Talladega later this season and Homestead Miami Speedway. And this is his second big announcement of the week. A few days ago, Zilisch announced he'll make his Xfinity Series debut at Watkins Glen later this summer. He'll make a total of 4 starts in the Junior Motorsports number 88 car. I'm very excited to see Connor Zilisch make his Truck Series debut at a road course next week. I feel like there is a ton of hype around this kid, and I think much of it is deserved. He's a Rolex 24 winner at just 17 years old. He's a go-kart racing prodigy. Fantastic road racer. Again, I've mentioned it many times. He first really popped up on my radar in the ARCA race at Watkins Glen last summer when, despite a broken sway bar, he was leading until the final corner of the final lap. It took contact to beat Connor Zilisch in his ARCA debut. Obviously a fantastic road course racer. He's going to get plenty of oval experience here in the coming months. Is it crazy to think he could win in his Truck Series debut next week? I don't think so. Shoot, I remember what Sam Mayer did in a truck at 17 years old at Bristol. Racing against accomplished racers more than twice his age, Sam Mayer dominated that night. I'm not sure we can expect the same from Connor Zilisch, but he'll be in the mix for sure. Top 5 for sure. A lot of hype around this young Trackhouse development driver. Let's move on. Goodyear conducted a 2-day tire test at the newly repaved North Wilkesboro Speedway. Joey Logano, William Byron, and Ty Gibbs made laps. The 40-plus-year-old racing surface was torn up and repaved this past offseason. I'm really glad last year's All-Star race was able to happen when it did on that old patched-up surface. I'm glad we got to see at least one of those races. It wasn't the most thrilling of shows, but I'm glad we got to see that purely for nostalgia's sake. But now we enter a new era of North Wilkesboro Speedway. All 3 drivers spoke to the media. They tested the same tire that was run at Phoenix this past weekend, that thicker gauge tire Goodyear brought to hopefully increase tire wear. Joey Logano said that tire resulted in 1 second of lap time fall off over a 25 lap run at North Wilkesboro. Not too bad for a repave, but as far as what we can expect the racing to look like in May, William Byron expects it to look a lot like Richmond did in the mid-2000s after its most recent repave. Byron said, quote, "It won't have the style of comers and goers, I don't think. I think the guys who are up towards the front will be racing hard, and there's probably just going to be more wrecks." Last year on the old patched up surface, the bottom was clearly the preferred lane. Ty Gibbs suggested that maybe there'll be more 2-wide racing, especially after restarts, but based on what they tested this week, it sounds like it'll be a typical 1-lane repave. Going to be a track position battle for sure, but Joey Logano, the veteran of the group, said the track still has a lot of that original North Wilkesboro character. Logano said, quote, "They did a good job. There's still some character. It's still a unique shaped racetrack, which is all good. There's a pretty big bump down into turn 1, I think, where the wall was out too long and they cut it, and it's kind of an interesting area. And there's a huge bump leaving turn 4, which really kind of upsets the cars. I don't think that's bad. I'm okay with it. That's something that made this racetrack so cool in the past, is that you had a bit of character. It's bumpy, and you're forced to move around them because it was challenging. You make the thing like glass, I don't know if that really makes the racing better. So I think the fact that it's got a couple of bumps and some areas where drivers can make mistakes and jump out of the groove and do different things, it's just going to promote passing. That's a good thing. Obviously, we won't know exactly how the new look North Wilkesboro Speedway will race until the All-Star Race weekend in May, but a mix of comments there from 3 different drivers that I think lean positive. Like I said, I'm glad we got a full year on the old surface. We got to see new next-gen Cup cars tear up the old pavement. I'm glad we got to see that, but a repave was due. Especially if this track was going to continue to live on well into the 21st century, it was time for a change. Repaves usually aren't too much fun the first couple of years, but I like Joey Logano's comments there that the track still has some unique characteristics. What do you expect to see at North Wilkesboro Speedway in May? All-Star Weekend returns May 19th, I believe, the main event. Going to be a great time. The atmosphere last year was unbelievable. Can't wait to see what kind of show they put on here in 2024. Finally, and I hate to end this week on kind of a negative note, but what's going on at Richard Childress Racing? Things look great on the Xfinity Series side of things. Austin Hill's already a 2-time winner. Rookie Jesse Love is leading laps pretty much every week. He's always in contention. RCR looks fantastic on Saturdays, but on Sundays, it's a completely different story. They ain't got any of their ducks in a row. For the, 5th week in a row, Kyle Busch's team will once again swap out and rotate pit crew members. This report from Bob Pockris sums it up. Kyle Busch, crew chief shuffle for this week. According to the roster, Josh Sobecki, jackman for Daytona, is back on the jack. Michael Russell, front changer who didn't do the car at Phoenix, is back on the front. And Shiloh Windsor, who was the front changer last week, will do the rear tires this week. I like this reply. Next week, Kyle just going to get out of the car and change all the tires and fuel himself. Shoot, might as well at this point. Doesn't seem like Richard Childress trusts any of the crew guys they've hired. Constant shuffling, constant rotation. Look, I get it. At least to a degree. I want to shout out Abozi Tatarovich, who's been writing about and analyzing Cup Series pit crews for Racing America the past few weeks. I'll put a link down in the description below to his most recent report from Phoenix. Very interesting read. At Phoenix, the number 8 pit crew had the 9th slowest median pit stop time. Not very good. An improvement, though, from Las Vegas, where they were, I think, 33rd out of 36 cars. They were like the 4th worst median pit stop time. And obviously, we've documented the struggles at Daytona in the opener. They had a loose wheel at one point that cost Kyle Busch serious track position. Atlanta, I can't blame the pit crew too much. Kyle Busch sped on pit road there. That was on the driver. And even Las Vegas, Kyle Busch getting a pitting outside the box penalty, shouldn't have slid through the box. That's on the driver too. But the pit crew has been sloppy, let's just say, and even when they're fairly smooth, they've been slow, apparently. Obviously, Richard Childress Racing is seeing things they don't like, things that I can't see that you can't see. But I will say, 5 weeks, 5 different pit crew combinations. I don't think that's great for team morale, for team chemistry. It's not great for consistency. That's going to affect performance. Pit stops are about routine and repetition. You keep changing things, tweaking things every single week. How are they supposed to build that important chemistry? Get those important reps with the same guys in the same positions. Again, I'm obviously not the expert here. Richard Childress Racing works with these crew members every single day, every single week. But from the outside looking in, it doesn't look good that you're constantly making changes and adjustments every single week, especially this early. You should have had all off season to work out these kinks. Again, Richard Childress Racing has looked fantastic in the Xfinity Series, but that hasn't rubbed off on their Cup Series program. Kyle Busch has had issues every week. Issues on pit road the first 3 races, and then Phoenix, they were just slow and spun out. Kyle Busch is Kyle Busch, so I'm not going to panic unless they struggle this weekend at Bristol, where Kyle Busch has 8 Cup Series wins. But I am truly worried about Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon had an abysmal 2023, 10 DNFs. We've talked about it. 2024 is off to no better of a start. He's been caught up in early wrecks in 3 of the first 4 races. Dude just needs to get through stage 1 without incident. Right now, Austin Dillon is 32nd in points, 40 points outside of the playoff picture. A lot of spots to make up. Hopefully Richard Childress Racing finds that magic combination sooner rather than later. That 8 car, 3 of the first 4 weeks has had plenty of speed. They just need to execute. And with Austin Dillon, a lot of rumors continue to swirl, but with Hill and Jesse Love looking real strong in Xfinity, a lot of fans are going to start to question Austin Dillon and wonder if it's time for the next chapter of his NASCAR career, if you will. Just saying, can be a harsh business sometimes. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Kyle Busch fans, I want to speak to you directly or ask you this question directly. How do you feel about the constant pit crew swaps? Are you hoping for a winning combination, or would you like to see some consistency week after week? Let me know how you're feeling down in the comment section below. Packed week of content. If you missed my interview with Cup Series driver Todd Gilliland, go check it out. It's all on my YouTube channel. Yesterday, we previewed Bristol, took a deep analytical dive with Greg Mathern from wintherace.info. Lots of great content this week. I hope you check it out. Subscribe if you're new. Huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. Your support really helps this show grow. I do miss Bristol dirt just a little bit, but I am excited about the return to the concrete here in the spring. Looking forward to the races this weekend. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your Friday.